Think you know the Bible? Think again. Tune in as Rabbi Bentzi Epstein and Tom Levine reveal the extraordinary hidden within the ordinary in Breakneck Through the Bible by Torch Dallas. Each episode may cover just a few verses, but don't let that fool you. Get ready to learn the Bible at a breakneck pace.
So I think we're going to pick up still in Parshas Noach, page 43, verse 18. The sons of Noah who came out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham being the father of Canaan.
Okay, which is interesting. Why does the Torah have to tell me that? So it's foreshadowing.
So I would say, how else would we know? But that's
right.
Not the answer you're looking for.
But why now is it telling me these three came out? Right? Canaan was, right? He's going to be involved in the story coming up. So that's why the Torah tells us, by the way, Canaan and Shem are connected at the hip.
Okay, good.
Okay?
But it doesn't, and I read ahead a little bit, it doesn't, at least initially, have the same qualifiers for Shem or Japheth.
Right, Japheth, correct. It doesn't.
It singles out Ham for that.
Because Canaan is part of the story of the next few verses, and that's going to affect deeply Shem.
Okay, good. And
that's also, it's interesting now that I'm thinking about it. Shem is the father of Canaan. So Canaan got which land? Or Shem got which land, right? These three people got the world. Shem, Shem, and Japheth. Right? These were the only descendants of Noah. We'll learn why in a few verses. But right now, the world was divided into thirds. So Shem, which is where the Jews come from, they ended up getting Israel and sort of in Asia. That was Shem. Shem is really like Africa, and Japheth is really Europe. Like that's sort of the world being split into thirds. And even though the land of Israel is called Eretz Canaan were not natives there. Canaan's conquered it from Shem's, right, from our great grandfather.
Well, thank you, because that was a point of confusion for me, because we think of Israel as from Canaan.
Right, because it's called the land of Canaan.
Yeah.
Right, but the answer is Canaan came and they actually went and they...
You're saying like the Canaanites.
The Canaanites
from
Canaan were not given that land from Noah. They actually had conquered it from Shem.
Interesting.
And even though, right, Malki Tzedek, the king of Shalem, or the king of Salem, right, which we're going to learn, it's in chapter 14, I think, when he goes to give Abraham a blessing, right, Malki Tzedek is Shem. Actually, he was still alive. He and Abraham overlapped. And he was the king of Salem, which was Jerusalem. So...
Are you saying that it's another name for
Jerusalem,
but not for Shem? Malki Tzedek.
No, it is, because Malki Tzedek.
You're saying it's the same person.
Same person, because Malki Tzedek literally means the righteous king. Malki is Melech, right, king. Yeah. Tzedek is righteous, right, the righteous king, because the king of Salem was considered the righteous king. So all the kings of Jerusalem were called Malki Tzedek.
I see.
Just like all the pharaohs in Egypt are called Pharaoh.
Like all if you could, all the kings of Egypt are Pharaoh.
Exactly.
All the kings of Greece were Caesars.
Right.
Or Rome, I guess. Yeah.
Right, and all the presidents of America are called presidents.
Yeah.
Right, and that's why when we read this story of the Jews in Egypt, he keeps on talking about Paro. Right, but the Torah does not differentiate, was it one Paro that was the whole time? Or the 210 years we were in Egypt, is that one Pharaoh? Or were there multiple pharaohs?
Very interesting. Which makes a lot of sense because of the sometimes disparate continuity between the pharaohs. You think, wow, if it was the same pharaoh.
Right. First, he's giving the Jews everything, taking care of them, pampering them. Now he's just flipping a switch. And he forgot to take his ADD medicine one day, and like that was it. So like that becomes a very interesting thing. Okay, but meanwhile, we need to know the Cham is the father of Canaan.
So these three were the sons of Noah, and from these the whole world was spread out.
Right.
Much like you were just saying.
Right. Yeah. Now remember, they were really in the Middle East area, the world, Africa, like sort of that area. And then we're going to get to the Tower of Babel, which is going to happen roughly 350 years after the flood ended, right? Because the flood ended 1656, right? And the Tower of Babel was in 1996 from creation, right? So the flood was year 1656 from creation, right? And the disbursement over the world was 1996 from creation. Okay, so it's 1996, 1656 is 350 years. 340 years, sorry. 340 years from creation. And so that's when the whole world became populated. Because that's when the punishment for the Tower of Babel was 70 nations, right? But till then, we were one nation. We all viewed ourselves as being one. And so, since we were all viewed as being one, right, we all hung together, right? And then we'll see what happened.
So let me ask you, and I know this is a small deviation, but when Joseph was interacting with Pharaoh, walking up the stairs with each different language.
Okay, beginning of Parshas Miketz.
Wasn't there 72 languages?
No, there was 71. There was 70 steps. And then at the top step, Joseph spoke to him in Hebrew, which was the 71st nation.
But you just said at the Tower of Babel, it was 70
nations plus the Jewish people.
Ah, okay, thank you.
We are a nation that is meant to dwell separate from all the other nations.
Okay. Verse 20. Noah, the man of the earth, debased himself and planted a vineyard. Well,
let's start first. How did he have anything to plant?
Well, he had seeds from the ark.
From the ark, right? Right. And now he goes ahead, and he had he actually brought along some grapevines, and he planted grapevines.
As he should have.
And well, you're saying as he should have. The Torah is saying he debased himself. Why are you saying as he should have?
Or are you saying he debased himself, and really are we talking about a timing element? Because he brought the seeds to be, or the vines, to be planted.
To planted, which is good.
Yeah, so that's why I said that's a good thing.
But the question is, if you come to a blank slate, you come to a world with nothing on it, what's the first thing you should plant?
So that's why I'm saying it might just be a timing discussion.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so what? So when the Torah says he debased himself, what does that mean?
Right. So our job is to be holy.
Yes.
Elevated. It says he debased himself. The Hebrew word actually is vayochel. Right? He made himself chulin. He made himself every day. He made himself not elevated. Plain. He didn't make himself elevated.
Okay.
Because we needed to plant vines. That would have been good. But if you come to a blank world with nothing on it, remember the flood wiped out everything. What would be the first thing you would plant?
Or do, not you said plant. The first thing you would do.
Okay, well, he already did something.
He got off the ark.
Correct. And he brought in offerings, or a lot of offerings. Right? That's how the rainbow came, right? Because he brought offerings.
Okay.
So the question is, let's talk about the planting, right? To get the world back in sync and kind of working. what would be the first thing you would do?
Would you plant? Are you saying like a food, like wheat?
Oh, so the most important thing would be to plant wheat.
So you
Because
could make
without
bread.
bread is where you need bread. Wine is nice, but you don't need wine. I mean, some people need wine.
Some people need it more than others, but yes.
Right? So you need wine.
And yet, the first blessing we do over food is wine.
No. Normally, if you have bread and wine in front of you, you do the bread.
Okay, except on Shabbat?
Except on Friday night. But so what do we do with the challah on Friday night?
Cover it.
Why do we cover it?
Because we're doing the blessing on the wine.
The wine first. So it's embarrassing to the bread, so we cover the bread.
Which then raises the question, why don't we do the blessing over the bread first?
Right. So the reason we do the wine on Friday night first is because
You're saying Friday night, but also Shabbos morning.
Shabbos morning, same thing.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're sanctifying the day first. When we make the blessing on the wine, we're making kiddush, which means kadosh, sanctified, elevated. We're elevating the day. We're declaring it Shabbat. Right? Because we're eating two breads because it's Shabbat. But when does Shabbat come in? It comes in when you make kiddush. And so since you're making kiddush, right, and you're sanctifying it on wine, so that's why we do the wine first. And really, you could sanctify, say the blessing on Shabbat without wine. But we want to make that blessing to sanctify the Shabbat special. So we do it. So we say the Talmud oral law teaches us, Kadsheu al hayayin, sanctify it on the wine.
I see.
Right? Use the wine as a way of sanctification, as a vehicle of sanctification.
So if on a non-Shabbos meal you were having wine and bread, you would not make the blessing on the wine first.
Correct.
Okay. Would you make a blessing on the wine at all? Or would the blessing on the bread
cover the wine? Right. No. So then that's a good question, because normally anything in the meal that's part of the meal, you make on the bread. Is covered by the blessing on the bread. Right? So when you eat your bread, once you make the blessing on the bread, so during the meal that you eat on Shabbat, you don't make any other blessings. Even though you might have a fruit, even though you might have a vegetable, right? Or you might have rice, you might have couscous, right? Whatever you have other sides that you eat that have other blessings. You have meat, right? But all those things we go ahead and we don't make a blessing on because they're covered by the bread, right? So wine might not be considered part of the meal, and therefore you might make its own blessing.
I see.
Okay, so that's
good.
Okay, so now it's interesting. So alrighty.
So you're saying he debased himself by planting the wine, the
vineyard first, instead of
perhaps should have been the bread.
It should have been the bread.
It should have been the bread.
That's what the Torah is saying. That's why he debased himself, because he didn't do that way.
Now here's this, and just for our listening audience, I have no farming skills at all. But my question is, by the time, let's say you plant the vineyard and the wheat at the same time, would you harvest them at the same time, or would the bread naturally, you know what I'm asking, mature earlier? So maybe he's thinking, I'm going to plant the vineyard now because then I'm going to do the bread, and that way when they grow and I can harvest them for consumption, they'll be there at the same time.
That's a very good question. It is above my pay grade.
Okay. You're not a farmer either.
I'm not a farmer either. So any farmer out there, feel free to
email us with the growth instructions.
Right,
there.
just go to torchdallas.net and just contact and let us know. But I had a different question.
Okay.
I said, why? I asked a question like this. You know why Noah? Why can't we say that Noah planted the vineyard because he wanted to make Kiddush on Friday night? And that's why he wanted to plant the vineyard before he planted the wheat.
Well, you've kind of explained that in that the blessing of over the bread he would make for every meal.
Okay, but
the wine would only be made on Shabbos.
But again, good. So he's getting ready for Shabbat. So let him go and be making wine for Kiddush.
Well, we're also kind of couching this whole discussion in a timing element. And, again, perhaps there's going to be multiple meals before the wine is going to be ready for
before Shabbat.
Yeah.
You're saying. So he's planting it for during the week,
so that he can make a blessing, and then when Shabbos comes, he'll have the wine.
But maybe Noach was just so enamored with Shabbat, he was just getting ready for Shabbat, so he planted the wine.
Okay, which I wouldn't call as debasing yourself.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Hence my question.
Yeah. Good point.
Okay. Right. So he did it for a good reason.
Yes.
So you want to hear the answer?
Yeah,
it's
please.
A cool answer. In Jewish law, if you don't have wine, you make Kiddush on bread. Okay, so if let's say you have 2 challah rolls, the wine you brought along spilled, the bottle broke, you have no wine. Don't skip Kiddush. Make Kiddush, but make Kiddush with the 2 loaves.
It still would be, the blessing would be hamotzi lechem.
Hamotzi lechem and arts, but then every Kiddush on Friday night are 2 blessings. On a standard Friday night, regular Friday night. There's a blessing on the wine, there's the blessing on the
meal.
On Shabbat. Right? We first say Vaychul Hashemayim va'aretz, right? The chapter 2 verses 1 through 3, right? The 7th day of creation. Then we sit down and then we make 2 blessings. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, barei pri hagafen, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, asher kedishanu b'mitzvah, v'ratzavanu v'shabas kachai b'yava v'ratzon. Right, we're making a blessing saying Baruch atah Hashem mekadesh haShabbos. Right, the source of all blessings, God, you are the sanctifier of Shabbat. So that blessing we make,
even if there was no wine.
Even if there's no wine, you wouldn't say the barei pri hagafen, but you would say the second blessing, which is the blessing on the day.
Would you do the hamotzi before? So that you still have that sequence of a blessing before your blessing?
That's a very good question. I think you might, but I'm not sure. Okay? But that's a good question. Hopefully we'll get back to our use. Or
hopefully we'll never not have wine and not have to deal with that.
Amen. Okay, I'm not such a wine drinker, so at that point in time, right? So at that point in time, so if there's we're going ahead and we are sanctifying Shabbat. So now, if you could plant bread or wine, which one should you plant? Since if you plant bread, you could do Kiddush and hamotzi. And for wine, you could only do the hagafen, right? You don't do the Kiddush, but you can't do the hamotzi. So therefore, if you was doing it even for the honor of Shabbat, you would first do bread, because bread you'd be able to fulfill both obligations.
Good.
So that's why the Torah tells us that Noach debased himself. Why? Because he planted wine first instead of bread.
Now when we, and tell me to hold this question if appropriate, is there a discussion of magnitude? In other words, we're learning right now that Noah did the wrong thing. He debased himself.
Mm-hmm.
But is this a little transgression or is this a big transgression? I mean, I'm trying to get a sense.
That's a good question. You know, the answer, well, we're going to see that the tragedy that came out was huge, right? It's very, very far-reaching consequences, right? So, okay, he made a mistake. Okay, we always talk about this in Judaism. What happens when you make a mistake?
Do tshuva. Ask for
forgiveness and start over again, right? We don't, right? It's like, okay, pick yourself up and get moving, and do the right thing now, right? So, but now we're going to see the consequences of this, which are pretty severe. So, well, sometimes it's not even the severity of the sin, but it's the repercussions of the sin that are
the consequences.
The consequences, so to speak, right? The consequences kind of get.
And then there is a subtle underlying question in my mind is, how would he know? I mean, the whole role of ignorance in performance of mitzvahs or commandments. How would he know that he should have done the bread first?
Okay, so Noah knew Torah. He learned Torah. He studied Torah. So he would know that the thing to do would be the bread.
Okay.
Right? So, because if you don't know something and could not have known something, there's no liability to you. God can't hold you responsible. It won't hold you responsible. Right? God can do what he wants.
Yeah.
Right? But he won't hold you.
Okay. And is there discussion that maybe even before planting anything, he should have built a yeshiva, he should have built a mikveh? I mean, is there any, is there a sequence or order of what you should do when you come to a new land and there's nothing?
Right. And it's a great question. I say, look around now, our world is pretty much destroyed. So how do we start over again? Well, the answer is make sure your food supply is okay. Right? You're going to tell you to go build a yeshiva, right? A place of Torah study.
Yeah, if there's nothing to eat.
Nothing to eat, that's not going to last too long. Right? Okay. So, right, but the answer is, right, obviously the world can't exist without Torah study. And the world can't exist without the source of spirituality coming, right? And so that sort of becomes the essence of the world, right? Because even if we have something to eat, if we had something to eat and drink, but no Torah, the world wouldn't be worth living. And so you need to have Torah study,
mm-hmm.
right? Like the Torah study is what you get. Like that's sort of the that's sort of the thought, Okay.
So verse 21 the next one is very interesting.
Yeah, okay.
Because, on one hand we're saying...
Oh, hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Not so fast, Tom. This is breakneck through the Bible. We have to kind of take our time here. So why did he plant a vineyard?
Well, that's the lead into the next verse. We're saying he planted the vineyard because he wanted to sanctify the Shabbos, and he wanted to...
Or maybe how do we know that wasn't the reason? And the answer is we know that wasn't the reason because he could have sanctified the Shabbos with bread. Right? So therefore, bread and wine, he could have done bread and done both. And yet he chose to do the wine first. So the question is why?
Well, so verse 21 tells us.
Okay, go ahead, read verse 21.
He says, he drank of the wine and became drunk, and he uncovered himself within his tent. So I would say from that, he wanted to be inebriated. He wanted the effect of being drunk. So you can't get drunk on bread. well, can you ferment bread? No, you can't get drunk on bread. So
You could get yeast. I don't know.
So he maybe vodka. I don't know how that.
Yeah.
Distill. But anyways,
you have to get some really good, back to our farmer from the first part.
But I think the fact that it says he drank the wine and became drunk. Why did he plant the wine, the grapes? Because he wanted to get drunk.
Okay, so
which is not a good reason.
Right. So I don't believe he wanted to get drunk.
You don't.
No.
So you're thinking the juxtaposition there is not significant.
Well, there is. Meaning the reason I feel he got drunk was because he drank the amount of wine that he used to drink. But remember, he hadn't drunk for a year.
Oh.
When he's on the ark, he didn't have wine for a year. And so if you're off wine for a year, and then you go back to drinking the wine that your body's used to handling, and you drink the same amount, this time, right, after a year of abstinence, right, it will make you drunk. So I don't think he purposely wanted to get drunk, because getting drunk from a Jewish perspective is very sad, because our whole purpose in life is to be human. To be human, you have to be able to make free will decisions. When you become drunk, you lose the ability to make free will decisions. So you're actually becoming an unhuman for the time that you're drunk.
And you're suggesting Noah was not aware of that.
So Noah didn't, right, he didn't do that, but that's why...
He didn't put it together that the wine he was drinking, he didn't do it for the purpose.
He didn't do it very good. He didn't do it with the purpose of getting drunk.
That was just the result.
That was the result. That was a mistake. That was let's call it an honest mistake. So why then did he plant the vineyard? So
you just debunked my reason. So.
No. So, but okay, you went to the extreme. Let's lighten your reason a little bit.
He liked the wine better than the bread?
No. That would be the reason of because. Because is not a reason. So I think there's a lesson here that we really need to think about. Pretty crazy stuff. Could you imagine walking out of the ark, and once where you saw skyscrapers, thriving malls, highways filled with people, cities, and you walk out and there's deafening silence. You hear nothing. There is nothing to hear except the birds that you brought along and the animals that you brought along, the 2 elephants in the world. And that's what you hear?
He had his wife nagging at him. Sorry.
After being on a boat for a year. Like the never-ending cruise. Which is amazing, right? There was no family strife. So why would he want wine? He would walk out and he'd see a world filled with destruction.
Would it be destruction, or would it just be clean? Would it
clean? But can you imagine?
There's no foliage, wasn't there?
No.
But the dove brought back
a branch. Everything else was wiped out.
So there wasn't a bunch of branches, and the dove brought back a branch. You're saying he brought back the one and only branch? I didn't read. That's good. I didn't.
No, right, we said it came from the Garden of Eden, whatever it was, right? Pretty crazy stuff. And I would think for any human being to see
it would be intimidating. It would be.
What's a good word for it? It would be devastating. It would be just,
and this is in no way similar, but maybe just a little bit. When I drove my car in the middle of COVID and there was nothing on the streets, nobody walking, it was a very eerie feeling. And so here Noah is getting off the ark, and to your point, there's nothing there. I can, my analogy is
very, very apropos.
But it's so
or people in Manhattan after the World Trade Centers.
Yeah.
Right. These huge, 100-story buildings, nothing.
So we're coming back to
why
Noah
planted a vineyard.
To forget
I would think to take the edge off.
Okay.
I mean, he didn't want to become drunk, but the pain of waking up to a destroyed world with nothing there was too much. Which is a very normal psychological reaction to what he was doing.
So he got off the ark. He had this feeling that we're talking about, and his go-to reaction was, I'm going to plant the vineyard so it will help me cope.
Right.
And because that's not a holy reason.
So it's interesting. It's not an unholy reason.
But God said, you debased yourself.
Oh, why? Because the world is empty. If you don't start building it, nothing's going to happen.
But if you did the wheat first, how is that building?
Because you have to first secure your supply chain. Right? He only had X amount of food left on the ark. If it doesn't start planting, it's bad news.
Okay.
Right? Meaning, and it's interesting. You know who went through something like this? On a smaller scale, it would probably be like the October 7th kibbutzim in Israel, but after the Holocaust, right? The Jews walked out to a destroyed world. Literally a destroyed world.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There was nothing there, Jewish-wise. And they had two choices. Curl up and die, or build. And you see the flourishing of Jewish institutions that were all, we today were all built, mostly all built from Holocaust survivors. It's interesting. Do you know what we call, we're Generation Z, I don't know, X, Y, Z, I can't keep track of all of them. You know what the generation of World War II is called?
Greatest generation.
Greatest generation. Why is it called the greatest generation?
Because it survived and rebuilt from the destruction of...
Because they had the greatest challenges. And the greatest challenges brings out the greatest goodness. The greatest goodness in some people and the greatest horribleness in other people.
And we're saying that it did not bring out the greatest goodness in Noah.
Right.
Interesting.
It's just a very interesting, like sometimes you really have to think, the psychological impact of what people went through. It's pretty amazing.
Well, and then the Torah goes on to say, and he uncovered himself within his tent.
Right.
Got undressed.
He was drunk.
Got undressed
hot.
within his tent.
Right, within his tent. And that seems to be great. What's wrong with that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Right, so it's interesting. Right, so first of all, just understand from a Jewish perspective, God is everywhere.
Right.
Right? So even when we get undressed, we want to do it modestly. Right? Like that's something that we should just recognize. Right? So, and even when we're in our private bedroom, nobody there, right? We want to kind of be modest because God is around.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what is interesting, and this is just like I want to teach you something here from the Torah here. How would you say his tent in Hebrew? It would be ahaloi, his tent. But the way it's written here, it's written with a hey at the end, which means her tent.
Because it's referring to Noah and his wife?
So it's referring to no. It's referring to another ahalah, another tent that the Jews at the destruction of the first temple were referred to as Ayhala. And the Torah is telling us here that the Jews of Shomron, of Samaria, they called Ahalo because they were also exiled because they drank wine. And so the Torah is sort of making that, telling us that connection that's going to happen. Okay, let's continue verse 22.
Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his father's nakedness and told his two brothers outside. So you've taught us that there is no unintentional repetition in the Torah. There's no wasted word.
Right, correct.
So why are they saying Ham, the father of Canaan, where in the verse before it said Ham being the father of Canaan? Why is it necessary to repeat it?
Very good. So the answer is that Ham didn't find him. Canaan did. And Canaan went and told his father Ham.
Oh, just a sec. So are you even back in verse 18 when it said Ham being the father of Canaan? Is that Canaan referring to a person, not a place?
Correct.
Okay.
Was that not clear?
No.
Okay. So that Canaan is a person named Canaan.
I see. So here, Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his father's nakedness and told his two brothers outside.
Okay. Now he saw his father's nakedness. Saw in quote, end quote.
So he had to go inside his father's tent.
Right.
And Noah was laying there,
passed
drunk,
out.
yeah, and naked.
And he told his brothers.
Well, Ham told his brothers.
Yeah. Now, he's going to get a horrible consequence.
Ham or Noah?
No, Ham. Well, we'll see what happens to Noah.
Yeah.
So, what did he really do? When it says he saw, what does it mean he saw?
He uncovered.
No.
Okay.
Because he already was uncovered.
Yeah.
So the Talmud has two opinions. Buckle up, folks.
Yeah. Here it comes.
One is he castrated him.
Really? Okay.
The other opinion is he sodomized him, which causes castration. Or causes that you can't have any more children. Take a deep breath. Why did he do that?
Well, he had to be very upset with his father. No?
Very upset? Or was he trying to protect his portion of the inheritance?
Oh.
And he says, if I let my father have more kids, instead of the world being split three ways and I'd only get a third of the world, if my father pops out another 50 kids, I'm only going to get 2% of the world instead of 33% of the world. He says, I want to make sure my dad doesn't have any more kids, because that way then I'll make sure that I'll get a third of the world as an inheritance.
Pretty devious.
Pretty devious. Pretty horrible. Either way, right? Castrated, right? So whatever it is, right? But this is stuff that now we could begin to understand why Chum is going to get the kaboom lowered on him.
So why would he involve his two brothers? If this is his motivation, wouldn't it be, or are you saying he did the deed to his father before he brought in his two brothers?
Correct. Before he told his two brothers. Now, before he told his two brothers, so now this becomes interesting. Why did he do it before he told his two brothers?
Well, because his two brothers, especially Seth, who we believe was more righteous, would have stopped him.
Or he just wanted to tell them, I did us a favor.
So that his brothers didn't have any say in the matter.
Correct. I mean, he wasn't asking their opinion.
No, he did it.
He did it for himself. He did the deed. And then he goes and he tells his two brothers. You could be sitting in a nice sunny day outside, 70 degrees, you're sitting outside, life is all beautiful, and all of a sudden you get thrown a hot potato in your lap. Tremendous moral dilemma, and now you're going to have to make a decision what you're going to do. From 0 to 100,
yeah. I sure hope Noah was really inebriated. And where are the women?
So it's interesting. They weren't around. Okay, so now let's see what happens. So what does, drum roll please, because what does Shem and Japheth do?
So Shem and Japheth took a garment, laid it upon both their shoulders, and they walked backwards and covered their father's nakedness. Their faces were turned away, and they saw not their father's nakedness.
Wow.
So that was they're showing great sign of respect.
Great sign of respect, right? Let's cover up our dad. Let's make sure he's not disrespected, just lying there, right? Let's just go and cover him. And it's interesting. So what was the long-term effects of them doing this?
I like how it starts on verse 24. And Noah awoke. No kidding. Should I continue reading?
No. Because what did they get?
Well, just from reading the verse, I don't read any consequence.
Okay. So Shem, right, who we Jews are the descendants, because of the proper usage of a garment, we got the mitzvah of tzitzit.
Oh.
Right? That's a four-corner garment. You have to put the tassels on the corners. Right? So we got that mitzvah because we showed proper usage of the garment. What did Japheth get? So the Talmud tells us that at the end of days, in the war of Armageddon, between Gog and Magog, right, who are the descendants of Gog, who come from Japheth, when they die, are going to be merited to be buried. Because their great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather covered up the nakedness of Noah.
And so what help me understand, what is the opposite of the merit of being buried?
Not being buried.
And what's the consequence of that?
Not being buried?
Yeah.
It's a disgrace to the body. Right? And Cham's children are going to be taken into captivity naked.
Okay.
Right? So they both got based. Why did we get a mitzvah and they just got to be buried? Because whose idea was it to cover their father? Shem. How do we know? Because it says Shem and Japheth took. Okay, but the Hebrew word for taking is vayikach. But if two people take in the plural, it will be vayikchu, and they took. And what Hebrew word does the Torah use? The Torah uses a singular Hebrew word, even though they both took it. So it really should have been vayichu Shem v'Japheth, and Shem and Japheth took in the plural. But instead it says vayikach, and he took the singular. And so the first person is Shem, because it was Shem's idea. Japheth came along for the ride. But since it was Shem's idea, so therefore Shem went ahead, and Shem's sons got the mitzvah tzitzit. Japheth's sons got the mitzvah, got the merit to be buried. And Shem that uncovered this nakedness and did horrible things, his children were taken into captivity naked.
Wow.
And in the Torah is teaching us that God makes it that everyone gets exactly what they need. Or exactly
deserve.
Quid pro deserve.
Yes.
Right? Quid pro quo. Okay, verse 24.
Noah awoke from his wine and realized that his small son had done to him.
His small son.
So he's clearly referring to Ham.
Right? So what does it mean, small? It means the disqualified one, right? The disgraced one.
And he said, "Cursed is Canaan, a slave of slaves shall he be to his brothers."
Right.
So this is Noah putting a curse on Ham and all of his descendants?
Yeah.
But don't we learn that negative consequences only go for certain number of generations?
So it's interesting, right? Depends what type of sin, right? Because the sin of Adam and woman eating from the tree brought death to the world. So I mean, you still die for that sin.
Right, okay.
Right, so now this, right, so he curses, is Canaan, right, he'll be a slave to his brothers. Go ahead.
And he said, "Blessed is Hashem, the God of Shem, and let Canaan be a slave to them. May God extend Japheth, but he will dwell in the tents of Shem. May Canaan be a slave to them."
Very fascinating.
Yeah, that's pretty strong.
Right.
Now, when it says a slave of slaves shall he be to his brothers, he's not talking about the concept of slavery. Because we've talked about how the Jewish concept of slavery is not so bad necessarily.
Right. So this
is
now
more metaphorical.
No. So this is servitude, and really, Noah over here is giving us the pecking order of the world. The pecking order of the world is like this: blessed is the God of Shem. Canaan, Shem, will be their slave. Japheth, God give beauty to Japheth, and Japheth is Greek. Right, Western civilization, and Greek has beauty. Right, there's beauty there. But v'yishkon ba'ohel le'shem. But beauty has to be dwell in the tent of shame, meaning beauty has to be subservient to religion. And so Noah here is saying as follows: Cham, which literally means heat, cham, right? Heat, chama is sun. Heat means technology, right? Because all technology, heat is what creates the changes. Japheth is beauty. Shem literally means the name, or Shem there, it's religion.
Holiness.
Well, including holiness, right? So now you have these three structures: Shem, religion; beauty; and technology. And Noah says, as long as beauty is subservient to religion, then technology will remain subservient and in the service of both. If beauty thinks it's more important than religion, then at that point in time, technology gets unleashed in the world and becomes this destructive force rather than a force for good.
You know, that's very apropos today with all the discussion centering around artificial intelligence and the morality of it and its use. And so we're learning that as long as it is subservient to religion, it's a good thing.
Correct. Or it will remain good.
Yeah.
Once beauty thinks it's more important than religion,
Or technology.
then technology will be unleashed in the world in a bad way.
I see.
I mean, what I always think of is that we have lasers, right? So now we're getting into place that we're using laser in warfare.
Right. Lasers representing technology.
Technology. And so it could be used destructive, or it could be use lasers in operating rooms. We use it to heal people. We see in front of us technology being used. Now, by the way, defending ourselves is a good thing too, right? But technology could be good, could be bad. You know, it's always like in the movies. You know, they create this laser that's going to destroy everything. You know, right? And and so it becomes a fascinating idea, right? That God is telling us, beauty is here. Beauty should be subservient to religion. It has to dwell in the tent of Shem. Right? And like it really becomes an important way for us to look at the world. And in fact, Greek is so beautiful that the only Torah can be written in Lashon Kodesh, right, in the Holy Tongue, right, Hebrew, or it could be written using Greek letters, because Greek is considered beautiful, and therefore the Torah could be written using Greek letters.
Very interesting.
Right, like that's. But this idea is so crucial for us. Like people think art, so I could do art that's not morally proper. Right? I could show naked people. Not really proper. Right? I could go ahead and I could, I remember as a kid, and somewhere in New York, somebody took poop and smeared it on
canvas
and on like a religious scene, and they said, well, that's freedom of speech, we can do this, right? Again, and this years later, and it always stuck with me like crazy stuff. This is it. Japheth. Is it art? Is it for God or not for God? Right? And kind of just figuring out that balance. So, but as long as it's subservient to religion, at that point in time, the world can be.
So you said the Torah can be written in Hebrew, Lashon Kodesh,
right,
or Greek.
Or Greek letters.
So is it? So we're reading it translated in English,
right?
Does that pose a problem?
No, not at all, because we could study in whatever language. But a Torah is scroll.
Have you ever seen?
I've never seen. A
Torah scroll written in Greek.
In Greek letters would be
interesting.
Funny. Yeah, but
Okay, good.
All righty, go ahead. Verse 28.
And he said, "Blessed is Hashem, God of Shem, and let Canaan be a slave to them. May God extend Japheth, but he will dwell in the tents of Shem. May Canaan be a slave to them. Noah lived after the flood 350 years, and all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died."
Okay, and now basically we've ended really about Noah, even though now we're going to talk about the descendants of Noah, right? The 70 nations. We're going to talk about the Tower of Babel, when Noah is still alive. And most people don't realize that, but Noah is still alive, and Noah is alive, right? And but those things are still happening. But right now, really, Noah, this was sort of the last story, Noah being the main character.
Well, thank you, Rabbi. And I know we're we're going to be waiting with bated breath to hear about the Tower of Babel and the continuation of breakneck through the Bible.
And the continuation of mankind.
Yes. Thank you all.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You've been listening to Breakneck Through the Bible by Torch Dallas. Visit torchdallas.net for more mind-expanding episodes that will forever change how you read the Bible.